Hello, one and all. Welcome to another episode of Various Fields. I'm Trey.
I'm Hazen Fields II.
And I'm Lex.
And with us today we have...
Winnie! Hello!
So, before we get down to the breakdown, I want to let you all know, as we are aware of what Various Fields is, we like to bring in topics that are both very pun-related, very heavy in hope and fun, as well as some very deciduous conversations. All right? So, to join us in this...
Yes.
I should have said conversation, actually.
Wow.
Yes. So, to join us on this telltale tale of trees,
My goodness.
I would like to introduce Winnie.
Yes. Hello!
May I say one thing? Leaf. All right.
Sorry, I had to get down to my roots and all of that.
Oh, no. Right at the top of the show.
Don't worry, there's many more to come.
Oh, goodness.
God.
Miss Winnie Ashby. Let's see. Can we have a hand clap there for her? There you go.
Self-indulgent applause.
There you go for us. Yeah. So, please, our friend, I know Winnie from Mobco Improv, but you people who are watching us may know her as the Woodsy
Winnie, yep.
Woodsy Winnie, and she's on TikTok, and she brings environmentalist information to the world. I jokingly laugh and say that I now respect bugs and stuff that I didn't really consider before because of this young lady, and I really appreciate that. And she is a watershed a forester. I'm getting all my words in a row, and she's just a genuinely wonderful human being. And we just are so delighted to have you with us.
Yeah. Thank you for having me here. It's very exciting to get to be part of this.
So we are, I guess you could say, activists in our own right. But we have never really put out this side of activism, because actually being an environmentalist, is everything's all a part. We're all a part of it. So could you please, for our friends and our neighbors, connect the dots between our day-to-day and that which you do?
Okay. Well, the first and simplest way is I, at my day job, am responsible for managing lands that surround the reservoir that feeds the city of Albany. And I have friends that work for the reservoirs that feed the city of New York City. And that very basic land stewardship and forest management surrounding these water sources provides much cleaner water going into the treatment plants. So someone did an analysis probably 20 years ago now of what the New York City water system would cost if they had a different, less pristine water source and had to then treat it. And the cost was astronomically more than just maintaining these lands as forest and as healthy watershed land. So that's probably the easiest connection. And one that everyone is dealing with every day. Figure out where your water comes from. It's pretty interesting.
That's great.
But also, the greater environment is just the world that we live in. So climate change is happening to us now. We've seen some of the worst fire seasons. We've seen these crazy storms. Weird snowstorm today. But all of that comes back to these global systems and these things that we have seen over centuries humans have the ability to influence. And humans, equally to influencing it, are impacted by it. Like New York City had all those crazy wildfire smoke coming over.
Yes.
Like completely different parts of the world, right? But it's the same planet. And we live here. Is really the biggest way that I could say that is we live here.
If we can't agree on that one thing, we gotta
that's true. That's absolutely right. And I think we don't pay attention to that. I know that I am evolving in that, and because of you, I try to see what I haven't seen before. You know, and so when I drive on the highway now and I see trees and stuff like that, I recognize that there are some people on this earth that are looking at it not with the casual eye. You know, so maybe can you go into a little bit more of what are things that you think we should know that we don't pay attention to sometimes that we should pay attention to? And I know there's a lot.
Yeah, there's this Aldo Leopold quote that I talk about a lot, where he says, "The naturalist walks around in a world full of wounds that are invisible to the layperson." All right. Yeah. we can't trust everything that these old environmentalists said. A lot of them had some real whack views, but that line is very true. And it's hard to answer that question without being a bummer because of it.
No, please.
Yeah, so when I'm driving down the highway now, a lot of the time what I'm looking at is the traffic, first of all. But secondarily, like all of the trees along the highways. You see a lot of dead trees along all of our highways in the Northeast lately, and that is because of emerald ash borer, an invasive species.
No, please say that again a little slow for me.
Emerald ash borer.
Okay.
Yes. All right. It's a little tiny beetle. I have one in a jar at home, but
The culprit.
the got it. Yeah, but it's this tiny little bug that was brought over unintentionally in like pallet wood, and it has decimated several species of tree that grew like an ash trees. The history just keeps going back and back, right? This ash took over from elm, which was also taken out by a foreign disease, and elm took over for something else. It's like it's a whole thing. But at this moment in history, we've lost all of this cover that, again, comes back to the watershed areas, that comes back to these roadsides where people had trees that were growing and shading the sidewalk. And then all of these trees are dying because of this invasive insect. There's a lot of other like invasive species around. That's honestly the main thing that I work with in my day job, is just dealing with invasive species impacts. Because it's not just bugs. We have invasive plants. We have invasive crayfish. Like they're everywhere. And the things that they can do tend to be take up space in an ecosystem. So like the bugs are killing these trees that were taking up space. And now that they're out of the way, we're getting a lot of these invasive plants in to take that space over. But that means that nothing that grew up here, nothing that's like native to these ecosystems has anything to eat. So just the existence and the way that we in our day-to-day activities can hinder or prevent invasive species from completely taking over an area. I would love for people to know more about that.
I would love to know more about that myself, honestly. I guess the question that I had, because I think I've seen on one of your podcasts which are TikToks regarding invasive species as a whole, regarding the plants and how that kind of like was set upon based on like, I guess, gardening tips back in like the 60s and the 50s and like how to keep a lawn. So like regarding, I guess, this multi-system of terraforming that all species kind of like go through, right? Is there I guess you can't really answer it, like, is there like an ideal parameter?
So there's no ideal parameter. That's one of the things that I really enjoy about forestry and about like environmental science as a whole, is once you think you've determined an ideal, you are proven wrong almost immediately. That you go back in these environmentalist systems, and like the guidance for forestry that I was taught and that the foresters generations ahead of me have been taught was based on forests that no longer exist. So it's an ever-evolving system, and we're always learning. And the thing, because it can come into some kind of problematic stuff. So you've got all of these invasive species and people are like, where are they coming from? I've heard it go down some real dark paths. And the thing that I want to say is it's not an absence of like foreign species. It is a moderation. It is a balance. And yeah, the ideal system is always going to be one where there's enough balance for things to sustain themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Just within that line of question, because there's technically a whole bunch that are popping up in my head, but maybe also to make it more for the audience and stuff, in terms of, I guess, maybe regulation, if there's something like that. Is there something that either, you know, the someone who is not who doesn't know as much can be like, all right, this is how I apply it to my daily life? Or is it one of those things where it's like, okay, it's not just up to the individual? Because I feel like that's one of the things that when I was growing up, you kind of learned, we kind of got tricked, where it's like, hey, turn off all your lights and all the water and all that kind of stuff. It's
Yes.
like, it's up to you. And then like, oh no, giant companies definitely should be doing a lot more than just it. And I feel like some people will there's a balance of like, absolutely, we should all take individual responsibility. But also I think that's become kind of a misnomer to someone who's individual. Maybe they feel like anxiety, like, oh no, if I don't turn off my light, I'm killing all the bugs. And I feel like that, what's the balance?
Are you insulting Captain Planet's message right now?
I'm saying that he needed better branding.
Captain, well, oh man. Oh man.
Captain Planet versus the Lorax. Who was it?
Lorax, everything. So that speaks to some kind of phases of environmentalism as a whole that we've gone through. So can I just do a quick timeline?
I would love
Please,
conservation
please,
history.
appreciate it.
Okay. So early days American conservation was just extraction. We all know that. People came in and were like, oh cool, there's wood, there's ore, there's oil, there's whatever we want, and we're just going to take it and ship it wherever, and whatever we don't need in this moment, we're just going to leave to rot in the field, right? So that is step one. Following centuries of sustainable indigenous management, like millennia of people living on this continent and learning these systems and becoming part of the systems in such a way that they weren't like just taking out everything at once. So we have millennia of sustainable management by people who learned what they were doing from the land that they were learning on. Then we have a century or so of just blatant extraction.
Just taking.
Coming out of that, you get kind of the Teddy Roosevelt era of conservationists, where rooted still in this anti-indigenous sentiment, they had this idea, they kind of formulated this idea that the only way to preserve wilderness was to completely remove humans from it. So that's when you get like the national parks and things where these are often sacred lands to people who were living there. And their removal is part of that national park system, which like it's hard as an environmentalist in the modern day to really like either condemn or rejoice at this phase, because on the one hand, they did do some very important protection of these resources. Like they would have been extracted otherwise. But on the other hand, they were going off of science that was based in some real dark stuff and not taking the whole picture into account. So you have that like national park phase. Then you have sort of the Civilian Conservation Corps coming in, where they've seen what all of this extraction has done. We've got the Dust Bowl. We've got like everything collapsing. We have the death of the American chestnut, which is just tragic. But we've seen what human extraction has done to the landscape. So now we're trying to step it back a little bit. We're trying to put human effort into the landscape. And that involves a lot of tree planting, a lot of like infrastructure projects, and it was putting men back to work during the Great Depression. So like big deal stuff. We're still harvesting plantations that they planted then. Like it's real good work.
Wow.
But you kind of watch it go then from a human impact can be good into a human impact is never good, which is kind of the Fern Gully era.
Yeah.
You get into like the 70s and the 80s. And again, these eras of environmentalism did a ton of good work. Like DDT was doing a lot of damage. DDT was also controlling malaria in parts of the world. So there's unintended consequences to everything. But you got a lot of really good work coming out of there. But the popular idea of what it is to be an environmentalist, what it is to like care about the world, is to be like, hands off, like, don't touch it. Which is also not appropriate. We have existed in this world. Like, we live here. And we have lived here since humans have lived.
Right.
You know?
That's from the beginning.
Day one. And so human impact is part of the system.
Yes.
Like, we are, I mean, we're still animals. We just have microphones and fancy brains now.
Oh, my brain is fancy.
The fanciest.
You heard it here first, guys.
Fancy brain.
But yeah, so I'm trying to kind of trying to live this ethos of like humans are part of the world, and so we have responsibility to it.
Yes.
And we need to honor that responsibility.
Wow.
Yeah.
Basically.
Go ahead.
I have a whole bunch of follow-ups if you got
You go, please. I got hundreds of stuff. Go ahead.
I guess before we do this, because I know this is a whole nother topic, but I think a lot of at least the questions that we seem to be asking seem to be integrating from like, all right, how do we as people, I don't say people who see themselves disconnect from the environment, but I think it's like when you come from certain places, you can see yourself very easily disconnect from the environment, as you were saying, right? Like you go through your day to day, but most people's day to day, if they're not forest or if they're not like, I actually have a friend, he works at a farm, he works in like hydroponics and stuff. That's the job. And I think when you have that job, you can be connected. Otherwise, I have a 9 to 5, and it's very easy to feel disconnected. And I think, especially where we're at with capitalism and marriage and stuff, it doesn't help. So one of the most immediate things I can see, at least industry-wise, and you guys can stop me if this pulls too far from the conversation we're having, is a whole AI to like water systems thing, which I've learned to at least understand that there's both a lot of truth in like, oh my gosh, AI is bad for the environment. That's true. But I also hear there's a lot of, I guess, again, misnomers around how it's bad for the environment, how much water it's taking. Is it taking water? Because sometimes people make sound. Anytime you put a prompt in, you're drinking a bottle of water and throwing it into stuff. I'm like, I don't think that's how the system works. You know, I don't think someone just like, hey, gotta throw this bottle of water up.
Yeah.
But also, I know there's systems that are taking from. And I just, because of how AI and how, I guess industrious, it's not really industry anymore, but industrious that system has become and how integrated and like how it's being forced. Do you, one, know or see like an immediate impact, or two, is there more clearing up for an audience member where you can be like, this is what I know of it, how AI affects industry or force? I know it's new, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm not an expert in it by any means. When you were saying like AI is being forced, it does feel like it's being forced.
Absolutely.
I personally have a beef with AI plant identification systems, but that's
Oh, dang.
their own fault.
They know what they did.
And like for people who, I know some people in the foraging community who are like real scared about the proliferation of AI, like plant and mushroom ID stuff, because people are actually like eating things and getting ill because they're trusting AI more than they're trusting like a reference book or an expert, you know? Right. And I do know that AI is I know nothing about computers. Please understand. I know trees.
That's fine. It's okay.
The opposite side of the spectrum.
Yeah. So I know that the cooling systems for these server farms have always been kind of a sticking point.
Right.
And that was true when the server farms were smaller. That remains true now that the server farms are bigger. And it's, as someone who works in water systems, like, we are very fortunate here in the Northeast to have the access to fresh water that we do. We are not going to be feeling the impacts of these data centers. It's going to be people with far less freshwater access. It's going to be people with far less ability to advocate for themselves. And it's going to be people with far less stringent environmental regulations. So you were saying earlier about like environmental regulation. We in the United States, Canada, Europe largely, following our centuries of exploitation, we decided to go the other direction and try to regulate our way out of resource extraction, which is kind of working. There are a lot of ways in which regulation can absolutely change the world, and it's doing a lot of good. With AI specifically, I don't trust it because it told me that pale swallowwort was in fact spreading dog bane. It's not.
Okay, that whole sentence, I knew words individually, but in a row, I don't think I quite understood. Can you break that down once again?
I was going to nod and smile.
Yeah,
no. You said it. Yes, pale swallow.
Please.
Pale swallow. We all know.
Once again, I told you she's a genius. You guys thought I was kidding.
Oh, man.
Please, once again.
Pale swallow. Well, if I was a genius, I would have figured it out before I would have trusted AI. Pale swallowwort is one of those invasive species I was talking about earlier. It's small. It's kind of twining. It's pretty, but a pain. Like a lot of them. And
There really was a joke that I was trying to cover.
No, like you were saying, it goes back like gardening industry.
That's right.
People were like, plant multiflora rose. It's a good soil holder. And they're like, oh no. But anyway, pale swallowwort, invasive species, kind of a pain. I hadn't come across it before. And so I used my phone because someone had just introduced me to this new thing. And I was like, ooh, let's see.
give it a shot.
Let's see what it does. And it told me that it was spreading dog bane, which is a native plant that we would want around. So I was like doing some management in and around this little patch of pale swallowwort, the invasive, and being really careful to not hurt it because I thought that it was a native plant that I would want to be protecting. And then later on, I actually looked it up and I was like, oh no, this is an invasive plant, and I put in all of that extra effort to be nice to it for no reason. So I'm just cross.
No, but you see, this is okay. So this is the thing I appreciate about Winnie. She is invested. She's invested in this. It's not just a job. I am certain that there are people who are foresters that it's a 9 to 5. It's I like it. But when I speak to you, and when you speak to the audience, it's obvious that you have a great concern. It's not just a job from the way you speak about it. It's like a calling. And you just somehow or another were able to match your heart's desire with your employment. And it just works out, seemingly. So that's it. So for us 9 to 5ers and people that do, think, we hear the word forester. I am really, it's unfortunate, I don't have a lot of information. My biggest understanding of forester comes from Yogi Bear and the Ranger. That's
You're not alone in that.
Yeah, that's just so, Mr. Ranger, sir, that kind of thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. But anyway,
Sincere apology. I'm not going to do a Yogi Bear presentation.
No more. But so can you take us, through your day? Like your clock rings, and what do you do as a forester?
What toothpaste do you use? Sorry.
Okay, maybe you can skip that part.
We're not going to go into all the details.
Okay.
So I spend about half my time out in the field, out in the woods, rather. So half my time is an office job. I answer emails, I write management plans, I do research, I write more emails. That's the world we live in. And then the other half the time, I tend to get out into the woods. And what I'm doing out there kind of depends on the day. It depends a lot on the season, which is something that I forget that, like, office workers don't necessarily feel the seasons the way that I do.
Very good. Yes, absolutely good. Yeah.
Because to me, it's very, very regimented. Like, oh, this is winter work. This is spring work. This is what you do during the summer. So what I'm doing can be anything from going out and marking timber, which is just squirting trees that need to get cut down or that need to get saved, depends on the thing. Everything depends. It's all, it's just a deeper and deeper rabbit hole the further you look. But squirting things with a paint gun to mark out so that loggers or other land managers out in the woods will know what I intend them to be doing. So that's based on my scientific background and recommendations from researchers and that. Like I was saying earlier, a lot of our forestry guidance was written for forests that no longer exist. So it feels like a lot of modern day forestry is kind of on the cutting edge of like, well, we don't really know what happens after beech leaf disease, you know? We don't really know how things are going to come back now that we have all of these biocontrol insects for emerald ash borer. Like we truly don't know what's going to happen next. So we are trying to set up what we are in control of to be diverse and to be resilient to whatever stressors might come their way. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm out there marking timber. I'm out there marking boundary lines. I'm out there laying out roads. I'm pulling. Some days I'm just out there pulling up bushes with my bare hands.
Wow.
It's a real good way to get outrage.
Really?
I highly recommend invasive species control to anyone with anger.
Wow.
It's nature's rage room.
It is. You get a honeysuckle bush. I'm not kidding. Honeysuckle bushes roots so shallow. You can pull out like a 12-foot bush with your bare hands if you're mad enough. It's great.
Yeah, honeysuckle.
Yeah. Honeysuckle rage. You know, I love the fact, and again, I feel like I'm talking to like one of the cells in my body, you know, because it's like, you know, as we're sitting, our cells are working, taking care of those things that could be going wrong, you know, blocking things and controlling things. And you're like a hero for in the world that we don't pay attention to. You know, we don't, because you're taking care of stuff that me and my family, we go to the park every year and we just look for a place to barbecue, you know, something like that. But you see it, and I thank you for being that person on the front line, one of the people that are heroes for us. And I want to apologize for my generation, because I grew up in a time when we used to have these big red and white smokestacks. And they would just blow different things in the air. Sometimes it was brown, sometimes it was black, sometimes it was white. And we thought that when steam, or what we thought was steam, oh, that's a good day, you know. And it was like, it's, you know. And we used to have these signs that would be for smoking. It was ironic. It was talking about a smoking thing, and the actual thing was set up so it would blow what we thought to be steam in the air. So we were breathing everything that, you know, corporations, and we just called it Monday through Friday, you know, didn't think about it until they started coming down. And it's people like yourself that have helped us, and we never said thank you.
Well, it's people, my predecessors in the field, but it's also that regulation we were talking about.
Yes.
A lot of that is that governmental force of saying like, hey, stop poisoning people just because it's good for your bottom line. So a lot comes back to that regulatory aspect. And it's good to remember that, because people get real mad about regulations, but they do good work.
Excellent. I want to throw it for my brother, because I feel like we're taking up a lot of space, but I just wanted to reiterate what my dad was saying, because like you can see the passion and you can see the investment. And I'm sorry about this. And if you want to be passionate in investment to various fields, please like,
Share, and subscribe, and hit all the buttons. They're very good.
And please comment.
Wow, thank you.
We'll also make sure to put,
Pretty smooth.
I like that. That was good.
Honestly, you said it the first time, like, there's no other way. I don't know how to make widgets work, so I had to make this one work.
Our segments are getting better.
We're getting there.
Good. That's good.
And we'll make sure to have maybe Winnie's TikTok information and anything else that maybe you want us to maybe. I was going to ask if any sponsors.
Please.
What's the word I'm looking for? Not sponsor. We want to give money too.
Charities.
Exactly. Charities. Anything that we can help support.
Jeez.
If you happen to know any, we'll put that in the bottom of the description and something like that just to
Okay.
support.
That'll be great. That'll be great. Yes.
I love that.
All right. So I don't know how much time do we have right now.
Halfway in.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. We got the fellas in the building. We got Paul Rudnick, and Paul is pointing to the clock that he set up so I could very well not ask that question. And he's done everything in his power so that I don't have to be dopey on the air, and I just always circumvent that every time. I just need like a cuckoo clock bird just to tap it. And we have Nels. Nels is here. The fellas in the building. Thank you guys for being here as always. And we like to try to, just about this time, separate the conversation. So we know about what Winnie does as a forester, but in no way is that the completion of this young lady. She does so much. She's a dancer. She's an improviser. She's I'm going to use the word seamstress or a fashion expert. In fact, Nels, can you pass me my jacket? I'm gonna show it off to the world. I'm gonna show it off. Listen, I gave Winnie you can toss it. Let me see. I'm sorry about that. I'm messing up the shot so well. I don't know if you guys can see this, but this was a regular. Right, this is a regular jean jacket that I had, and I told Winnie. Let me see. I don't know how. I told Winnie to do what she will, and she. I don't know if this is going to be clear on the shot there. I guess at home you can take a picture of it, and
I really want that QVC color.
And it's I don't have the QVC energy, but but. Genius, just right there. And she also does. I'm gonna just toss it on the ground somewhere over there. All right, thank you. And wow, after I express, just toss it on the ground. No, but I always get compliments on that. She does something called bleaching, which if you see her pants legs right now. She did that herself. Just clever. I said dancer, a singer. She sings. It's like so. Tell me about you. What is your? We love superhero stories. What is the Winnie origin story?
Oh boy. So the theater stuff and the outdoors stuff kind of happened alongside each other because I grew up in the sticks.
Okay.
So.
Sticks. Oh, he's giving you all tendency.
Oh man, no, it's great. So I grew up out in the middle of nowhere, and I started doing dance when I was 3 years old. Because apparently when Mom would bounce me, I would point my toes, and she was
okay.
All right, I guess this is a ballerina.
That was very good.
So I started doing dance really young, but at the same time, my family we're out in the middle of nowhere. We had a really good garden. We had this patch of woods back behind the house that was technically owned by 6 different private landowners. They had no trespassing signs up. We were all over it.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing what you can get away with if you're just wandering around in the woods. And so it was really kind of everything at once. I learned to love performing at the same time that I learned to love that sort of solitude of being out in the woods. And also the woods were just a really good sounding board for a lot of whatever teenage crap I was going through. It's much easier to talk to trees than it is to talk to people sometimes. They don't talk back, but sometimes that's preferable. So, I don't know. I really enjoyed theater stuff, and I grew up in a family where like theater just wasn't going to be an option for like what you do. You know? So when I got the mailer for SUNY College of Environmental Science and Forestry, when I got the mailer for them, I was like, oh my God, you can be in the woods for a living? Like people will pay you to do this? So I jumped on that, and I'm very glad I did.
Wow.
But yeah, and so I've kind of only recently really found a good balance between the theater aspect of things and the forestry aspect of things, like with MOPCO has been really good for that, because it's not a common overlap of interests, and each of these things is very hard to do casually.
I did want to point that out because as we were thinking about it, or as we were talking about it, I was thinking that is the resume of a Disney princess. I was thinking about that the whole time. I'm like, if you think like Snow White or something, they can sing, they can talk. I'm like, but those don't coexist often. Like, isn't Snow White the one that was like sleeping the whole, or sleeping?
I've messed those and Winnie will tell you, I've crossed all those stories all the time. I mess it up every time we do improv.
Where did they learn how to perform and sing, and then also be so in tune with nature? I'm just imagining that's like a hard thing to. So congratulations. You want to skyrocket Disney princess? It's right there for you.
If that becomes a career option, you'll never see me again. No, that's not true. I'll come back.
Who's the second Winnie we know that lives in a forest?
I was thinking.
Also wearing yellow.
I was going to say, okay, that's what I was going to go.
Okay, see, I something's going on with my, a lot of things go over my head.
The Pooh, Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, okay, all right.
I don't know why I said the Pooh like it was international. You've never heard of the Pooh?
Okay, all right. I'm sorry, I didn't even think about that. But here, sorry, I didn't mean to bring it down. I was like, oh man, I didn't see. Anyway. But so theater,
Yes.
It's from the sticks now. Transition that into fashion.
I just did a lot of well, when you grow up doing dance and theater stuff, you wear costumes all the time. And I've always been better not socially. And nowadays I can fake it pretty well, but like especially as a kid when you haven't learned all those skills yet, like I was a weird kid. So I would be wearing dance costumes to school just because I'd be like, I like these pants. So
I want to clip that sound, man. I love it. I don't know why I love that. That was fantastic.
Very 70s.
That was really.
James Brown adjacent.
I love it.
yeah.
Sorry.
That was really good.
But then, like, you imagine being in middle school and some, like the weird girl with bushy hair comes in wearing,
Right.
like, literally metallic, swirly pink and silver pant, like bell bottom.
Right.
Funky.
Yes,
That's good.
very funky, not cool. Not in Gowanda, New York. But part of wearing the costumes and all that all the time, and like not like what my peers were saying about me was going directly over my head. Was the beauty of being socially inept. So
Really good delivery.
thank you. So I just kept wearing what I liked to wear and what I wanted to. And that kind of evolved over years of then going through college and maturing and like being a grown-up with grown-up money. It's like I no longer fit into my old dance costumes, thank God. But I still kind of want to like jazz it up a little bit.
Right.
And there's also like a small like mental illness component where like my brain as a child, I couldn't wear black. I just couldn't.
Really?
I couldn't wear black.
Okay.
But unfortunately for band and chorus and
that
chamber
was-
choir
yeah,
and all these
right,
things.
yeah.
Like you had to wear black.
A full black
So
turtleneck.
I had a full black dress with like fake pearls that I had to wear, and every time underneath that dress, I'm wearing like the brightest knee-high socks I can find, just to counteract the juju. Of
Fight
wearing
the
black.
power.
So with these pants and with some other, like with the bleach painting especially, I like to use it on these articles of clothing that my brain would otherwise get weird about me wearing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. I bring up these the personal side for the audience because sometimes people feel that there's a type of person that gets into the field of science and this and the other, and they're kind of stoic but sometimes they don't get a chance to see this lighthearted person that's multifaceted. You have a great deal of interest, and so we want people to see that. Hey, go for your dreams. And let's not put each other in a box.
Right.
And that's one of the things I appreciate about yourself. Now, I work with you in improvisation on stage. Now, I know you touched on that, but how did you get into doing improvising?
So I heard about MOPCO years and years ago now, when I was doing some scripted theater, and a friend and co-cast member of mine from that show heard about these MOPCO improv jam nights. That's what they called them then. And we would go to these jams, and it became very clear that our director at the time, for this scripted piece, was using a lot of improv techniques especially for like warm-ups and as ways to get us to like kind of play with the script a little bit more. And I just had so much fun. At these jams. It was just a good group of people laughing and just playing together in like a really non-toxic way. So then I went off to grad school, and when I came back a couple years later, I came back to the area and looked up MOPCO again. Post-COVID, they had auditions, and I went on and auditioned, and sort of the rest is history. I've been acting with them ever since. It's been great. I've said it before, but improv is like, it's been very, very good for getting like the ambient anxiety level in my brain down a little bit. Instead of up here, it's kind of down here now.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
We appreciate all of that you do, and how you've combined them into this one person. This we often talk about superheroes here, and if you had, I think I'm asking his question. Why don't you about?
Oh, that's right. You know, to give it because I know.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was still wanting to know because I'm still stuck on the idea of Captain Planet and even maybe the Magic School Bus being all propaganda based. I'm like, I knew it was true to a point, right? But now, like the way you're expressing all these environmental concerns, I'm even like there was actually one episode of the Magic School Bus that I actually do recall, all right, where the whole class went on a trip into a dying log, in which they basically grabbed it, they had an extractionist called, and then at the end of the episode, just because they learned about the ecosystems within ecosystems in that log, they basically just told the extractionist to basically just leave the log alone, all right? And I guess the question becomes for the layman, right? Was that factual? Is there anything?
You do that as a forest.
Is there something that even like common person who is not a forester should do to basically maintain and help with your efforts?
Plant native species. You want to put a tree in your yard, plant an oak, plant a maple, don't plant a Norway maple. That you want a pretty bush, plant button bush, or look up what's native to your area and do that. There's tons. Your local soil and water conservation district, your local the equivalent of the DEC, they're going to have a ton of resources on what plants are going to be really, really good for your native pollinators and your native bugs and birds and all that.
Wow.
Nice.
So that's huge.
That's fantastic information because I guess a lot of people who own homes, it's like, oh, this is pretty. Let me plant that here, without even considering what's local flora.
Well, that's part of it is a lot of these invasive plants got in through the nursery industry, and a lot of invasive plants are still being sold at nurseries. So barberry is a really common hedge species where you just see it, like it's my neighbor's hedge at my house. And it is wicked invasive. It is the worst plant. I try not to hate things, but
We gotta start writing down the things just like barberries. What was the other one? The mulberry, honeysuckle.
We got forest. We have a lot of ops.
We're gonna start. We're gonna side eye these things on you.
I have many nemesis. But yeah, like those plants got pushed to the public really hard, partially because they don't have any like interactions with the native ecosystem here. So like you plant an oak tree, you're going to have some years where caterpillars eat a lot of the leaves off your oak tree. You plant a Norway maple, nothing happens to the Norway maple because nothing here eats it.
Gotcha.
So that's like very much so part of the calculus involved in why these things get sold.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
So let lying logs lie.
Yes.
Right? So long as it is indigenous to the environment.
So rotting wood is actually like a whole thing. I'm telling you, the rabbit hole just goes deeper. There's people who've made whole careers out of studying the decomposition of logs in the forest.
Are you saying that there's like a section of environments, like there's a dark environmentalist, there are people like, with mustaches and beards going,
The mycologists. Sorry, mycologists, I love you.
See, I'm wondering, it's funny because you're yelling at it, it's like, I'm wondering how many mycologists are there.
What are the mycologists?
Dang it, they've got Winnie on there.
No,
I think mycologists are pretty fun guys. Okay, all right. All right, got one.
they are. They do tend to be fun guys.
What is a mycologist? How about that?
Mushroom scientists.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They study the fungi of the world.
Okay, all right, very good. That's fantastic. So it's amazing. Again, I can't overstate it. In fact, I'm gonna let you guys ask other questions because I'm just so thrilled.
I'm with it.
Yeah, and
at this moment, I mean, like I want to go down that rabbit hole with you, but I'm kind of like stuck on the idea of mitigation, and I guess that versus. I lost the question. It was between mitigation and I guess like this level of moderation that we were kind of like preaching to everyone here, right? And just because we were talking about because we were part of the system, all right. There's no way we can basically do the calculus without human interaction in the first place. But if everyone's ideal, even with past knowledge of forests and everything like that being grown without us, was the, I guess, the rubric, right? What is... No, I'm kind of lost right now.
No. Let's go land it or go ahead.
Go ahead. You want to land it?
I think I got it. Because one of the things I was going to ask, and let me know if this is going the wrong direction, was because I realized we were talking a lot about invasive species, but I was going to ask if we can maybe define invasive species first. Because it's in some cases contextual, but I also think if you want to get the definition of invasive species, are you talking about like how the regulation of between what we do kind of on a day-to-day can meet where we're headed, where we want to be, like what you said earlier, when I
Yeah, it's somewhere in between that, because like even without human beings, we still have people. We still have species that do the pollination for us. Birds will fly around in the migratory patterns and just like drop whatever they want to drop. Right, bugs, or locusts. Right, all of that, and just like already do the cross pollination and seeding for us. So like so should it just be left alone to nature, or are we doing more damage by controlling the said environments for the sake of the civilizations we place?
Little bit of everything. I'm so sorry. I was at a conference recently and someone was saying, "Oh yeah, forestry is a lot like rocket science, except forestry is more complicated." Not my joke.
I like it.
We're coming at you, NASA.
But there's a lot that an individual person can do. and there's a lot that we can't, that has to be done collectively.
Right.
So defining invasive species,
Right.
real quick, it's a two-part definition. Part one, it is a species that is not from here, not from wherever you are at the moment, but that is not the only part of the definition. That's where people get held up sometimes. The second part of the definition is that it is actively causing harm to the system that it is in. So you have like these beautiful Chinese lilies in your garden or whatever. Those are not necessarily invasive because they're Chinese. They are in one place. They are not spreading. However, then you get like a barberry. We'll go back to that example where it is causing harm. It's spreading in this really aggressive way. It's blocking out all of the other species. It is creating a better environment for ticks to live in. There are confirmed higher rates of Lyme disease in areas with a lot of barberry cover, so just that's fun. So it has to be fulfilling both of those parts of the definition in order for it to be considered an invasive species. And yeah, the kinds of things that an individual person can do are dealing with the invasive species like in your own space, in your own neighborhood. In a lot of parks and things, there will be ways that you can get involved with like volunteer polls and things. And also more local lobbying type stuff. You can really get involved with getting more local regulations put in place. A lot of these regulations have their own histories of discrimination and things, so you can work to write those systems at some very basic levels. And yeah, just talking. I feel like a lot of people really shy away from talking about environmental stuff because they feel like they don't know enough, or because they feel like it is sort of inevitably going to be a downer. I know I've been in those situations. And it doesn't have to be. You can look around and talk about non-native species by talking about a dandelion, which has become this like another species that is very widespread, not native to this area, but it gives enough back, and it is not like taking more than it needs, really.
That's amazing.
So people can use it for food, for medicine, all that stuff. And we kind of know the systems in place there. Yeah, it's just being willing to talk about it with people and like admit that you don't know stuff.
a
That's
lot.
That's a beautiful thing.
We built this platform on something my father said, and what is it, guys? We don't know nothing. And so so we do have I'm going to change.
He doesn't like that one. He's like,
Who doesn't like that?
He's like, I know something.
I celebrate my dad.
I know. I definitely I do.
All right, listen. I'm going to do this differently because I'm very polite, Paul Rudnick. He sent me in a code for to ask about this, but I'd like people to know that we actually have people in the studio. So, Paul, ask your question from afar.
How do beavers affect the environment? I know one time you did a TikTok thing about them blocking off certain parts that can grow in the park.
I don't know. I'm going to repeat that only because I don't know if they heard it at home. How do beavers affect the environment? And because you've done previous TikToks on this subject. You have it.
Beavers do all kinds of cool stuff. They are, I think, second or third after humans in terms of the amount that they alter a landscape. So
Yeah, I know. I know. It was right there. I was gonna wait.
Go on.
yeah. So they create these wetland areas. Basically, they dam up the stream, and I've seen. One of my favorite things, I couldn't get a good photo of it because it's impossible to take good photos in the woods of like a large scale thing, but like a human built stone dam that had been breached. And then about 15 feet upstream, there was a beaver dam that was holding solid.
Wow.
And that's so beautiful. That's so poetic.
Way to go, beavers.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
So they create entirely new ecosystems. They can be either good or bad for water quality depending on how close they are to the intake source, because beavers are mammals that do have a lot of diseases. Like you gotta have, there's a an appropriate level for everything, right? But beavers have been hugely helpful in restoring, I know, a lot of ecosystems out west, and I think in Europe they've been using them more too, just to slow down water as it moves through the system so that it doesn't just rush through and...
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, listen. Well, thank you, beavers. Any beavers that are watching, we want to thank you so much for helping us. And we got about 5 minutes left. And we put this at the end, and we do apologize because normally we do not do any gotcha questions, but we do have one.
Oh boy.
Who's going to ask it? You want first? Go ahead. All right, here it is.
My dad sometimes makes a bigger deal of this than it actually is. It's not that much of a gotcha question, but if you do answer it wrong, we're going to cut this whole episode.
It's kind of tough.
Do you like waffles?
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Yeah! All right.
That was a nail biter. I ain't gonna lie. That was
Cliffhanger. Oh, my goodness.
It wasn't that tough of a question. I've yet to meet a breakfast food that I'm really opposed
See,
to.
that's what I'm trying to say. It's
all
just, you've given us so much scientific information, things I had to learn. But one thing I do know for a fact is if you don't like waffles, you're evil. And that's just a truth. Google it. Pancakes, you're there, but you can move a little more.
Okay, well, all right. Well,
You can be closer to the side of good.
See, exactly.
That's my secret.
I've yet to land exactly where he has, but he's been proving me wrong off the time.
The facts are there. Don't Google it.
Well, listen, we're going to begin to land this plane, as they say, and we're going to everybody get their last questions or statements.
I guess I'll go out on a limb here and ask an additional question.
Go out on a limb.
If you had a superpower that best described your personality, what would it be?
Oh, geez.
That's a fun one.
That is a fun one.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. I've joked before that it would be really cool to have the superpower to let birds know that I am their friend.
You're Snow White.
That's Disney princess. I call her.
I cannot tell you how overjoyed I would be if a pigeon landed on my. I would lose my mind. It doesn't have to be a bluebird. It can be a pigeon.
Wow.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
I
landed on that.
Okay, I guess my last question statement. I think I've told you this before. I am not a fan of squirrels,
That's
and I'm
fair.
sorry. I refer to them as tree rats, and I know
accurate.
I apologize to the squirrel loving community. You know, how can you teach me to love squirrels?
I literally, as I was leaving my apartment to come here, the squirrel that my landlords have tried to keep out of my porch roof with first a wooden block that he chewed through, then a metal plate that he pulled back, has found another way in, and he's currently chewing a corner in a different hole of my roof. So I don't know if I'm the best person to ask about loving squirrels right now.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's all.
Can I share a quick story?
Please.
My father is a deeply weird man, and I love him to bits. And he's told me several times about being a younger man and sitting out on the balcony of his apartment that squirrels were trying to get into with a rubber band gun.
Oh my goodness.
And shooting the squirrels, and I just find that to be the most charming image I've ever heard. So that's where we're at.
Let me write that down.
That's where we're at those city squirrels.
Write me down your cell phone. There you go. All right, your last one, and we're gonna.
Well, because we're almost wrapping it up, I won't. For this question, we'll end on a statement, and I just want to give it to the people. Because again, Winnie, thank you for joining us here at Various Fields, and for everyone else, I just remember to fund your hedges, but don't hedge your funds. We here at Various Fields wanted to welcome us and just say thank you again, Winnie, for being with us.
Yes.
And I feel like we can close it out here.
You can.
Maybe the last words from Winnie.
Yes, please. Yes.
Thank you guys for having me. This has been so much fun. And yeah, go play outside.
Yeah, I like that. That's it. Yeah, to all together, let's repeat that. Go play outside. All right, thank you for watching Various Fields. We've been here with Winnie Ashby, and she's been fantastic. What was that?
The website.
No, the website. Oh, her website or ours? Or our website?
Both of them.
Both of them. Please, you have a website that you want to...
I don't have a website, but on TikTok and Instagram, I am at #1treefriend, the numeral 1 tree friend,
Okay.
or Woodsy Winnie.
All right, and don't forget to go to www.variousfields.com. Do I still have to say www or do I just like saying it? Okay, variousfields.com. Everybody, just come to it, and we'll see you on next week.
We never got the Lorex question out the way.
The Lorex question.
The Lorax question!
Oh my God, as we're fading
We'll
out.
figure it out the next
Oh
time.
my goodness, the Lorex. All right, see you later.